Hello to my patrons and the people who waited a year. Let me get the thumbnail right off the bat, because this is the Eat Some Jell-O episode. Yum, 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 yum. I can't wait to dig in. Made this myself, fresh. Was in the hospital and am no longer. How'd that happen? I got discharged. We'll get into the nitty-gritty, but the gimmick being Eat Some Jell-O this week was definitely because I was in the hospital. And of course I got discharged just in time that I had to make my own Jell-O. What kind of racket is this? They get you used to it. They give you a little taste of that pre-made Jell-O life. And then they're like, take a hike. That's foreshadowing for later in the episode. I'm really excited to do this one. It's a sponsored one and I absolutely love the topic. I'm really afraid to break the surface of the Jell-O. I'll probably get another thumbnail later, but let's get ready for an intro. Hey folks, once again, just got to give you a little update on how things are going. I have been discharged from the hospital. I am home again. Obviously, that's going to make some changes for Fix My Car Cast. I can't do any gimmick I'm not medically cleared for, which is fun because that means I have to actually ask a doctor, can I run on a beach in case I need to do an episode of my podcast like a Baywatch episode? Anyway, so things are a little different. I'm actually hooked up to a machine that makes little spurbles and gurgles. Hopefully you can't hear those, but hey, maybe they'll enrich the experience of the fact that you're listening to a podcast by someone with a major open wound. I'm doing okay. Everything's fine. Let's get this theme song in the road. I want to eat some Jell-O. And then this is where the theme song goes. Do you hear the wound vac making a little burbly burble in the background? It's kind of soothing sometimes. I feel like it's been helping me sleep. Anyway, now I'm just making a flat waveform here so I know where the things go. Ready? Let's do a show. You're listening to Fix My Car Cast, hosted by Bear Claw Billy, and this is episode 152. Comedian and musician let me try that again. Comedian and musician Keith Hebert is busy auditioning to be the new spokesman for Jell-O. But first, housekeeping. This is the show where you pick what I say and how I say it. Pick a topic or prompt by donating to the GoFundMe, and vote on the gimmick by joining my Patreon for just $1 a month. Join at the $5 or higher level and also get bonus episodes and behind-the-scenes footage. Links are in the description. Also down there, merch. Get yourself some merch. You know, Jell-O's real jiggly, but so's your body. If you want people to not see those jiggles, you gotta cover them up with a Fix My Car Cast t-shirt. Get yourself one today. Warning, I do not condone covering up those jiggles. You let that jiggle flag fly. I love seeing those jiggles. But, you know, if you're in a place where legally they don't want you showing off your jiggles, try a Fix My Car Cast t-shirt. It'll work wonders. Still want to see those jiggles, though. We have 2 new donors this week. That is very exciting. Thank you, Anonymous343, for donating $25. A round of applause for you, Anonymous343. And thank you, Elizabeth, for also donating $25. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. The total raised for paying off my car repair debt is now $2,392. Also, when we get to $3,000, it unlocks an automatic show gimmick, which is I will record an episode at sea as soon as I'm medically declared as seaworthy. Everybody got that? Great. If we hit the goal, but I'm still not fully healed enough to get on a boat, it will happen as soon as I am medically cleared to get on a boat. We all got that. It's all good. Head over to my YouTube page because the boat episode is free now. A little bonus thing there. Anyway, I will record an episode at sea as soon as I'm medically cleared as seaworthy. If we hit $3,000. Fun fact, did you know that this whole podcast disappears when we hit $10,000? It will go back to a liquid if you put it in the microwave. Hey, do you like the theme song? No? Well, if you make a donation of $50 or more, in addition to picking an episode topic, you get to change one thing about the theme song forever. Unless somebody else changes it back. Want me to make it sound like a dessert jingle? I'll do it. $50. Also, if you would like to own the painting I made in episode 118, I'll be giving it away to the next person who donates $100 or more. That's right, own a piece of Fix My Car Cast history while you still can. If you'd like to see the painting before you buy it, it can be viewed in the raw video version of episode 118 over on Patreon. Link in the description. And yes, I'm back home, and the painting is currently here in the room with me somewhere? No new patrons this week, bummer. Now it's time for a topic suggestion. I'll suggest topics I think I can easily talk about for a whole episode, though admittedly I think the show is more fun when it's something I'm completely clueless about. So, something I could talk about is my controversial opinion about Doctor Who. It's so shocking, I'm too scared to post it publicly and get roasted by the Whovians. Want to know more? Donate today. Checking out of the best city in the world based on which city listened to the last episode the most, and we've got us another singles night tie. Ties are broken by whichever city listened to the most episodes, and our big winner is Westbrook, Maine. Congratulations, Westbrook, Maine. Let it be known that your Leroy House, Lime Rock Speedway, and Smokin' Eagle Barbecue are the best in the world for 7 days. Good luck figuring that one out. Last episode, I talked about Tom Allen while blinking as little as possible. You can see video of all the raw footage, plus a little extra, over on Patreon. Also, head over to Patreon for a bonus episode where I talk until a nurse walks in. How long does it take? Is it within 1 minute? Is it within 90 minutes? Find out over on the Patreon. Okay, let's talk next week's gimmick poll. These are your medically cleared choices for next week's episode gimmick. They are: do it like a general speech, recreate a famous work of art, sing every word, and our returning gimmick, put 10 marbles in my mouth. Let's review. Number 1, do it like a general speech. Now, I'm thinking the classic scene from the movie Patton. In name only, I'm not going to be General Patton, but I'm thinking something like that. Much different from Drill Sergeant. This is inspiring the troops to get out there and pull out their living guts, etc., so on and so forth. Number 2, recreate a famous work of art. I have something in mind both for the work of art and the medium. Who knows, could change based on what the next episode ends up being, but I will do my best to recreate a famous work of art, and yes, within the usual runtime of an episode, so we're talking 30 minutes. Number 3, sing every word. I've done a musical episode that was recorded in post, but I've never done an episode where I had to sing every word that I'm putting inside of your ears. So, vote for that one. That's what you get, babies. And our returning gimmick, number 4, put 10 marbles in my mouth. Pretty straightforward. I will put 10 marbles in my mouth and hopefully take 10 marbles out of my mouth as well. But, we'll see. I don't know if I've ever been medically cleared for that. But nevertheless, remember that any gimmick that gets just a single vote is eligible for a second chance in 6 weeks. Be sure to vote over on Patreon. The poll closes Thursday, December 5th at noon Eastern America time. And again, it's just $1. You get to choose what happens in 4 episodes for literally $0.25 per episode. You'll never get a better deal than that on Patreon, except free, I guess. Anyway, all right, time for today's gimmick, which is eat some Jell-O. Of course, gimmicks don't start until housekeeping is out of the way in case any of them prevent me from sharing vital information. But now, we are entering the Jell-O zone. From this point on, gimmicks are active and everything is improvised. Today's topic comes to us from Anonymous343 for $25, and I've been asked to talk about the best Bond girl. That's right, it's another James Bond episode. I am so thankful. And this is recorded roughly around the time of Thanksgiving. It just ended a couple of days ago. I've got my Jell-O here. I think it's worth telling the listeners that last week's topics were all ones that I could do in the hospital. So Eat Some Jell-O is one of them because room service brings you Jell-O. But then I got discharged from the hospital, so now I gotta make my own Jell-O. What a rip. But I have my big old jiggly bowl here. I think it came out okay. Also, if any of you want to be a stickler about it, technically it's Royal brand strawberry gelatin. So if you want to get me on a technicality that this isn't Jell-O brand, you're lucky I made an episode at all. I was in the hospital, okay? Suck it up, which is what I'm about to do with this Jell-O. I'm just going to go right for it. I'm not going to lie, I wanted green Jell-O specifically because as a child of the 90s, as will become evidently clear, I at least wanted to be able to do the Jurassic Park wiggle and jiggle. But here we go, my first bite. That came out pretty good. I haven't made Jell-O in forever. But we're not here to talk Jell-O. We're here to talk Bond girls. And right off the back, I can say that that term probably not terribly enlightened or acceptable anymore. But I guess as long as I say it real sassy, like, I mean, of course I respect every single actress who's ever been in a Bond movie. I guess unless one of them did something terrible. But at present, I'm not aware of anything terrible that any of them did. There are a lot of truly, truly iconic Bond girls. And if you're new to this term at all, because you could be, typically referring to simply the women that appear in James Bond stories. Now, I'm such a movie fan, I'm going specifically with movies today. I have a lot of personal faves, and I want to let you know that Anonymous 343 initially said just talk about whatever you want, and then I happened to mention our mutual love for a certain Bond girl, and that's when they were like, oh, that's what you're talking about. So I just want to let you know, I already have the Bond girl in mind because I know that me and Anonymous 343 are both fans of this lady, but we will get to her. For starters, just off the top of my head, I mean, I'm going to go with like my own personal James Bond experience. I mean, you know, your favorite things are certainly, you know, tailored by your own experiences. So oftentimes this just comes down to which Bond movies did you watch the most. I'm going to go in for a little more of this Jello. Though I guess technically it's Royal. There's the connection. Casino Royal. Oh! That's why I get paid the big bucks, and by big bucks I mean $25. Thank you so much, Anonymous 343. So, Bond girls. My first Connery Bond was Goldfinger, and also I feel like she's got the most notorious name, but of course, Honor Blackman playing Pussy Galore. A name that to this day, you're not quite sure if you can say it on television or in mixed company. But Pussy Galore, I feel like, is like the gold standard of like Bond girls who don't take Bond's shit. And also, I would go so far as to say that I haven't read the book, but apparently it's only subtextual in the movie. But Pussy Galore is a lesbian, so we stand a lesbian queen. So that's why I like Pussy Galore the most. What I don't love is that it is basically implied that turning a lesbian saves the world. Just because that was my first Connery doesn't mean it's a good movie that holds up and stands the test of time. And to be completely honest, most Bond films don't. But if we can try to get into a sassy, oh no, these are Bond girls, like, we're only about respect here, even if the subject matter of some of the movies is pretty misogynist. And I haven't watched Goldfinger in a while, but I know there's definitely some move along little lady implications in that movie. But Pussy Galore, a classic one. I feel like I can just go by like actor and tell you which one was my favorite from their era. So I watched Moonraker a lot as a kid. So I was a fan of Holly Goodhead. Again, wow, the names. I mean, you can't talk Bond girls without just going into it. But yeah, so I remember her, though I will say I don't think she's the best of the Moore era because even though A View to a Kill was never my favorite Bond movie as a kid, I believe that's the one that has Mayday, played by Grace Jones. And Grace Jones is such an icon that when she's on any list, she's number one. I would go so far as to say there's another one on that list, but I don't want to have to pit Grace Jones against someone else. But I will say, I'm just going to cut to the chase. Dalton, I don't remember the ladies from the Dalton films that much. But also, in fairness, I didn't watch the Dalton films that much. I was born in just the right sweet spot where the big resurgence of Brosnan was like, this is who James Bond is. This is who he is now. Boom. And so, yeah, it was sort of like my dad was like, well, you got to see your Connerys and your Moores. But yeah, just didn't watch the Dalton ones that much. So my apologies to the ladies of the Dalton era Bond films. Something Dabo. I did actually pop up a Wikipedia page so I can roll through the lists of some of the other ones. I have to let you know, though, Brosnan was my era, and there are some iconic ladies of the Brosnan era that are certainly worth mentioning. I would say Michelle Yeoh, also one of the GOATs. Like, I feel like just as people, as personalities, like Grace Jones and Michelle Yeoh, it's like, yeah, put them in anything and they're the best. But yeah, like to me, those two like really rise to the top as like, oh my gosh, they're really badass. But also like their performances, like they're really great in those movies. Even if off the top of my head, I remember there's some... Jonathan Pryce has one pretty not okay anymore line that he says to Michelle Yeoh, but don't worry, she's doing fine. Let me, there's this really janky website called 007 James, if I'm reading that correctly. Okay, they're ranked here, but I think these are just in order of appearance. Yeah, Russia Would Love, Goldfinger. Yeah, so these are just in order of appearance. I forgot there's a Bond girl named Dink. Some of the Connery era, I don't always remember them. Oh yeah, Kissy Suzuki, Helga Brandt, You Only Live Twice. Yeah, I feel like I don't always know the Moore era that well. I feel like my dad was really into Roger Moore, and I am too. Like, he's fun. Oh, Tiffany Case was definitely... Okay, yeah. I think Diamonds Are Forever was my second Connery, and that was when he was looking real dusty. I think that also has Winton Kid, Diamonds Are Forever, yeah. Oh, Bambi and Thumper are in that one too? Yeah, okay, pardon me. You'll have to excuse me. When you are a young person who is attracted to female folks, Bond movies are oftentimes an awakening of sorts. So pardon me as I walk down memory lane and go, I don't want this ranking to come down to my first surprise! But inevitably, that is sometimes part of the conversation when discussing your favorite, just real nice-looking people that are in some fun movies from your youth. There's Holly Goodhead, CIA agent working undercover as an astronaut. That's double cool if you're a Jack Ryan stan, I guess. Anyway, I wanted to get some other Bond girls mentioned. Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman was one. Which one is she in? Is that Live and Let Die? I think so. Anyway, I got all the info here, but I am going to be talking about a specific Bond girl today, so I just want you to know that this is not going to be a listing of all the Bond girls and where I would rank them. It is simply the best Bond girl, and we're getting to her, and I think you'll agree she's just an absolute knockout. And for starters, we have to talk about which movie she's in, because pound for pound, and maybe I'm only saying this because GoldenEye was my first ever Bond movie, but I think that GoldenEye has pound for pound the best Bond girls across the board. I will say it. I will stand by it. Though keeping in mind, Michelle Yeoh, I forgot to eat some Jell-O. Michelle Yeoh, probably my favorite of the Bond era. Halle Berry also. Oh my gosh. Well, we're talking icons. We have to talk Halle Berry. I did not enjoy Die Another Day particularly well as a film, but it cannot be denied that Halle Berry is just an absolute icon. And she's wearing a bikini that is reminiscent of the cut that Honey Rider wears when she walks out of the ocean in the very first Bond movie, Dr. No. So also got to give a shout out to Halle Berry as Jinx Jordan. I knew the name was in there. Also, Rosamund Pike is Amanda. Samantha Frost. Samantha Frost? I believe so. However, we got to go to my first Bond movie, and even if it ain't your first, you got to admit it's pretty damn good. Golden Eye. For the N64, if you're nasty. Slappers only, no odd job. There. I've done the requisite talking about the video game, which in fairness, I did play a lot, and I'm not much of a gamer. But you got to mention the N64. And this lady is in the game as well because she's just that iconic. So, let's run down. Now, in fairness, I do want to let you know, I watched GoldenEye very recently while I was in the hospital. I was feeling kind of bummed, didn't really have a lot to do, and then I saw that somebody was doing a live stream chat of Bond movies, and I was just ecstatic. I was like, here's something I can do in the hospital. Had a great time. We watched Octopussy, which I hadn't seen in forever. We watched GoldenEye, and then Casino Royale, but I had to go to bed. Anyway, not relevant to the story, but nevertheless, I watched GoldenEye fairly recently, so the answer of who is the best Bond girl is on my mind. Now, if you know that film, you're probably cycling through, okay, well, there's only so many ladies in that, so we know it's narrowed down to like 2 or 3 at this point. You might not have it yet. You might not have it yet, okay? Okay, just bear with me. I will say this, GoldenEye does a great job of like having all the different types of ladies that show up in Bonds. Well, they don't needlessly fridge a lady. That's when, a woman is only in a story so she can die to motivate the protagonist. Never happens in GoldenEye. Spoilers, I guess. If you haven't seen GoldenEye, might get a little spoily here and there. But we will be coming to the icon, the queen of Bond cinema, in just a moment. Let's first talk about Dame Judi Dench. If you define a Bond girl strictly as being someone female in a Bond movie, Dame Judi Dench goes on that list. Like, there's nothing I love more than a Bond girl who gives Bond a run for his money and she straight up tells him he's a sexist, misogynist dinosaur right to his face. Speaking of dinosaurs, I'm going to get myself just a little more Jell-O. Okay. It's so wiggly and good. And also that's like 8 servings. So, Judi Dench. In my mind, probably the biggest badass in GoldenEye. Full stop. Man, woman, you name it. She looks him right in the eye. She tells him, this is what I think you are, but also you're the best resource I've got, so get out there, you motherfucker. I'm not taking any of your shit. And Bond's just like, yes, ma'am, for Queen and Country. So, Dame Judi Dench, fucking powerhouse. Also, Moneypenny, who, if you aren't aware, is the administrative assistant at MI6 that Bond always flirts with but never gets with. She is played in GoldenEye, brand new casting, by Bond, Samantha Bond, which, no matter what else you think about her, it's so cool that they cast someone named Bond in a Bond movie. And also it makes it a little incestuous. Now she feels more like a sister. Why, that's Samantha Bond. Get away from her, James. James can't stay away, that cad. Anyway, cad, that's putting it mildly, 007. Anyway, can you tell I'm a big Bond dork? Oh, and a Jell-O dork. Excuse me. A strawberry royal gelatin. So anyway, wrapping up on this episode. I don't want to put you in too much suspense. Famke Janssen, Xenia Onatopp. Woo-hoo! That's the one for the goth girls. If you're ever watching GoldenEye with a goth girl, that's when they're like, oh, hold the phone. Xenia Onatopp, absolutely amazing. Also, Isabella Skorupko, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, as Natalia Fyodora Simeonova. Without looking, motherfucker. Can you tell I like GoldenEye? I believe that's her full name. Natalia, amazing, also great. Another iconic, maybe having some memories. Just saying, she looks good on the beach, but also badass. She's a computer programmer. The 90s were a time for being like, you know, she's hot, but also, which is great because I love all of my friends who are hot, but also. And yeah, like she's a computer programmer. She's amazing. So like you've got her helping Bond out. You've got Xenia as this antagonist who's like just this like psychosexual crazy lady. Again, all these performances knocked out of the park. Like Famke gets the assignment. Isabella gets the assignment. Samantha gets the assignment. Judi Dench is the assignment. Like, I genuinely don't think GoldenEye would be as well regarded if it weren't for Judi Dench. That was the first real, like, shake-up of, like, fuck yeah, Bond is back and we're doing it in the 90s now. But there's one special lady that hasn't been mentioned, and I'm just gonna, you know, stop to take a big old mouthful of Jell-O. And if you have a bowl of Jell-O yourself, maybe you should too, because the best Bond girl of all time is Tank. That's right. The Tank from GoldenEye is the best Bond girl. Now stay with me, okay? First of all, she's a powerhouse. Bond can barely handle her. He does that little tie maneuver like he's so slick, but what does she do? She bucks. She bucks because she fucks, all right? Bond can't handle her. He thinks he can. She just bombs around the streets of St. Petersburg like she owns the place. Shout out Lo-Fi Hip Hop for that little addendum joke. She's just absolutely amazing. Those curves, and then at one point, that Pegasus statue falls on her. This girl can accessorize too. She just looks so good, just bombing down the street with a horse on her head. Who could pull that look off? She's a horse girl, but she makes it work. She's got that little lower back tattoo. She's got a little 343 on the back. Like, she's spicy. Like, you know she's been around the block, but she can handle you. Can you handle her? I don't think you can. Also, favorite little bit of insider trivia, I love, stay with me, I love the score for GoldenEye. It's Eric Serra, and he's doing this very like minimalist techno thing that was very controversial at the time. I love it, cheesy though it may be. When, you know, Ladies First is my sex mix. Just put that song on a loop. But it's minimalist and kind of dark, and so it's a lot of just like it's a lot of stuff like that. So true story, when they shot the scene with our queen, the Tank, the music couldn't be heard over her powerhouse vocals. It's true. They shot that scene, they put Eric Serra's music over it, and it was too quiet to hear over the Tank. So they had to hire a different composer, bring in an entire orchestra, and compose a theme song just for the Tank scene. So, in the annals of being an iconic Bond girl, only one Bond girl was so loud and so iconic that they had to bring in an orchestra to be loud enough to compose a theme that would be worthy of her entrance. If that is not the best Bond girl of all time, then I'd like to know who is. Let me know your opinions, and as always, give thanks. Oh, fuck. I'm not exaggerating. That's a fucking mess. Oh my god. Okay, well, I gotta deal with that now. I hope you don't feel like that was a cop-out to pick a tank for the best Bond girl, but that's the whole bit I've been leading up to this whole episode. I hope I hit it well. I gotta get some Jell-O off my floor while I'm attached to a vacuum suck machine. Have yourself a spectacular day. And remember, always have an escape plan. Nobody does it better.